this video, we're going to convert your P365 15 round magazine to 17 rounds using the MagGuts spring system. First thing you want to do, definitely wear eye protection when you're doing this. You want to wear some kind of safety glasses when you're working with these springs. Also, these springs can be sharp on the edges, so just be careful when you're handling them. Okay, so we're going to need to take the base off of the factory magazine, so just use a punch or something like that. Push that locking tab in and slide the base off. Keep your thumb over the end of the magazine so that the parts don't fly out. Remove all the internal components. We won't be using any of these. The only thing we reuse is the magazine tube. Now, before we start working with the spring and the follower, it's best to get a feel for the fit of the sleeve and how the base goes on before you get everything together. It's a lot easier to figure that out before you have a spring under compression. It'll save you some frustration. So go ahead and just slide the sleeve onto the magazine tube until it stops. And then the base here just slides on from the front. Now it can catch, and you want to get a feel for it again before you start dealing with the spring. So do it a few times, get a feel for it, and then we're ready. So when we're ready to put the follower in, I do not recommend that you just drop the follower into the magazine tube. For everything to work the best, to go together the best, you want to make sure that the spring is properly located underneath the follower. Okay, you don't want the spring to catch that rear leg of the follower like this. You don't want it to catch the weld there. Sometimes catch that weld. It's usually self-correcting after you load it, but still, just to guarantee everything goes together the best, you really want the end of that spring right in the corner of the follower right there. So the best way to do that is to locate the follower right in the bottom of the magazine tube, right in the opening there. Then you can locate the spring right where you want it in that back corner of the follower, and then just push the follower up into the magazine using the spring. Now when we compress this spring, we also want to be careful. We don't want it to turn sideways and try to force it in and kind of cram the spring in there. Because if we do that and then we get it together and something's been pushed sideways and then we load it, it's going to bend the spring permanently. So we just want to take care to go ahead and compress the spring kind of as straight as we can, kind of like an accordion like that. And you're going to want your finger, if you're going to hold it like this, positioned towards the back of the magazine so that the front of it is open, so it can receive the base. And then you can just push the base onto the magazine and make sure that brass button locks into the hole in the magazine base. That looks good. And when everything's together, the base shouldn't move. It should be locked into place. So now we just need to check and make sure that the spring is properly located underneath the follower. So to do that, we're going to insert 3 rounds, and we can look through the mag catch slot to see if everything's okay. Now what we're going to look for is we're going to look for this bend side of the spring, and we should see that bend underneath this follower spring like this. Okay, we don't want to see it way forward, or we don't want to not see it. Maybe it's back here. When we look through that little mag catch slot there, you should be able to see that bend in the spring underneath the follower. It should look something like that. So we've got 3 rounds in the magazine. We're probably going to have to push it down just a little bit to get it in view, and I'm going to try to get this into the camera here so that you can see it. And I think you can probably see right there that how the spring looks underneath that follower spring. That looks good. So now we're going to check and make sure that the magazine holds 17 rounds. We've got 3 in there now, so this is 4. Okay, no problem. And final verification, you just want to make sure that when the magazine is loaded to capacity, so it's got 17 rounds in it, that we still have some space in the magazine for compression. So it should look about like that. You should be able to push that down, and have some room. And last thing is just make sure it fits in the firearm, and we're good.